All right, back again, day 4, video 4. I'm gonna try and stop saying the word because I'm decent at public speaking, but when it comes to my train of thought and my cadences, sometimes it's interrupted with things like that. But before, like and subscribe first because I need to build this thing. But what are we going to talk about today? Today, I don't know. I thought I'd just go over the headlines and see what was going on. I went on CNN and Fox News just to kind of see what the balance of the stories were. And then so when you go on Fox News, the first thing is like, oh, alarming revelations. Bongino warns we can't run a republic like this after disturbing discoveries. And then like the article's very cryptic. He's like, oh, as my tenure as deputy director, I've uncovered things that have shocked me to the core. It's like, really? What? Like, I mean, we already know that all our politicians sleep with fucking underage girls and are compromised by a foreign government. What's more shocking than that? Like, I don't know. And then the next one goes on, this kind of I leans into my previous video, how they're kind of trying to cover up the Epstein stuff. The next article is, new details emerge from Trump Russia files released by Tulsi Gabbard. Old news. We're in 2025. We have a lot of problems, like I'm not an idiot, neither are you. I don't know anybody that follows the pulse of Trump's first term. He basically said he was running to get rid of all this shit that's going on now, and like now everybody's shocked that this is going on. But yeah, it's just pretty disheartening, Let's see what the next one is. Of course, on Fox, if you're on it for any amount of time, the website, you get these pop-ups, like super boomer pop-ups, like go to the casino, your local casino, because it hits you with cookies. Then like the next article is Hulk Hogan, and then something about a Colorado dentist mistress. So it's like the first article on Fox News is some cryptic shit from the deputy director of the FBI where he says he's shocked to his core, but he doesn't tell us what he's shocked about or who he's talking about, who did the shocking stuff. We don't know. This is just, in all honesty, it's propaganda. It's a psyop. Like there's no meat and potatoes to this story, yet it's the lead story on Fox News' website. And then the next story is another psyop, which is, the Russiagate, Obama stuff, AstraZeneca, was that what was it called? I don't know, that private intelligence company that helped, create the Russian dossier and all that stuff. But so another fake story just to kind of divert you away from the fact that, the current president of the United States had intimate ties with Jeffrey Epstein, who was more than likely an Israeli intelligence asset used to blackmail powerful people within the United States and the world. But instead we'll focus on Russiagate, and Bongino heard some stuff. Oh, here we go, another boomer ad for let's go bowling in my neighborhood. But yeah, so then we'll go to CNN. CNN actually, I'm not a huge fan of CNN. Let me tell you that off the bat. Obviously, they're super left-leaning, and any media source is gonna have its own agenda these days. But the first article is, Trump flees Washington as Epstein scandal simmers. So they're talking about the Epstein case, which is good. Now they're talking about possibly having Ghislaine Maxwell give information about potential clients, but there's no client list, so I don't understand why Ghislaine Maxwell is gonna potentially be pardoned or whatever, for her information. What information? There's no Epstein. There's no list either. You guys are fucking idiots for thinking there is. Then the next article, Hamas officials surprised by U.S. withdrawal from ceasefire negotiations. So another actual news article, which inadvertently ties into Epstein because, Epstein was an Israeli asset, and, the U.S. seems to be bound tightly with our ally in the Middle East, Israel ally. And, you know, a lot of our tax money and a lot of our weapons platforms end up in the hands of Israel, and not for good stuff. You know, I am not a huge fan of Israel. I will say it right now. I never have been, because of how much they meddle in our affairs as a country, the United States. Also, since a kid, I've seen the Israeli-Palestine conflict, you know, go on indefinitely. And now I get to watch the Palestinians literally be destroyed daily, which is disgusting. There's no other way to really describe it. It feels weird having your country support something like that when, you know, I am from the United States. My family's been here since the 1600s. They weren't wealthy or anything. They were mostly pioneers and, you know, ranchers, and they ended up going out west, and I ended up here in California. But I feel no affinity towards Israel or the Middle East. Before my family was here in the United States in the 1600s, the other half of my family came over, I believe, at the 17 or early 1800s from Norway. I'm Scandinavian. Like, you know, my bloodline is, my ancestors come from that area. And I don't have any affinity to the Middle East. If you're Israeli or if you're Jewish, I understand if you feel an affinity to Israel. I get it. But at the same time, we have to have that line in this country where, you know, when I was younger, we pledged allegiance to our country. And now it feels like there's a lot of people that run things that pledge allegiance to another country. And this will probably be deemed anti-Semitic and I'm a Nazi, but I'm not. I'm talking about things that need to be talked about. Our government seems like it's pretty controlled by Israel at this point, on both sides. You know, Biden, as much as they want to act like they push back against Israel, I mean, he supported this war against Palestine. I understand the right for Israel to defend itself. I mean, that gets into the question of Israeli existence, the history of Israel, and that's a long story. That's probably another video. But at the same time, you know, how long is this going to go on? Is this going to go on the rest of my life? Am I going to get to watch Israel basically beat up the Palestinians and kill them, and then the Palestinians, you know, simmer for a little bit and then lash out because they're angry, which is understandable, because if you know the history of Israel, those people have consistently over, you know, since 1947 lost more and more land and been forced into smaller and smaller areas. And this is this is a first generation thing where there are people who are still alive in Palestine that saw their land get taken, and they've told these stories of Israeli incursions and settlements and abuses and killings and murders, all supported by U.S. tax dollars and weapons platforms. So it can't go on forever, you know, and I think that's the most disappointing thing, and that's why I'm talking about this, is because, you know, you have our government, who we've been taught about since we were kids. And, you know, we're taught to turn the other cheek, to do unto others as we want done unto us. And yet you have the government that will just annihilate people at the drop of a hat. I've seen it my whole life. And it's disturbing, and it doesn't sit well with me. I don't like that my tax dollars, because I see the roads, I see the education system. I know my money is not going to that, because the roads are shit. And the education system is also shit. So the money is mostly going towards funding wars in Ukraine and Israel, and expanding the U.S. empire. And that's what this is, with interests that no longer serve the people, but serve foreign entities. And it's annoying to sit here and just kind of have to keep a lid on things, because no one wants to talk about it. And also it's a hot topic, you know, like, but we have to talk about it. That's the only way things get solved. You know, adults talk about things, and that's how diplomacy fucking works. You know, if these people just want to be paid by lobbyists in Washington all day and just drink and pass these bills that benefit the technocrats and that benefit the corporations if like that's what we're going to do, then I guess this is just going to be and benefit Israel and benefit Ukraine and benefit China. Like that's another thing that maybe that'll be in my next video. Russia, we talk about Russia, we talk about Israel, we talk about Ukraine. We never talk really about China. China is the rising dragon and will be the ever-present thorn on our side if we don't destroy ourselves as a country. But I digress. I get back to my original point. We as a country cannot survive if our politicians are not serving the interests of this country. Everybody knows this. I can't think of a single politician. You know, you have the politician that will occasionally speak out about things and say his piece and kind of make a point that's against the status quo. But, you know, it's not consistent. They don't serve my interests. They don't serve your interests. I was told no taxation without representation when I was a kid. Now this video will probably get banned because now I'm a revolutionary because I brought up Revolutionary War terms. Just kidding. But you know, I love this country. I love where I grew up. It's beautiful, and it's really sad to see things destroyed and to see everything so corrupt here. If we even go to local news, like all the money that goes to the homeless situation, all the money that was raised for the hundreds, billions of dollars that's been put towards homelessness, the billions of dollars that was raised for the Palisades and the Eaton fire, all that gets gobbled up and stolen by these NGOs. That's another video. So China and NGOs. These are things that are, and we could probably get into fucking, what do you call them? Never mind. I keep getting distracted. But these NGOs gobble up all the money under the guise of charity. And you know, as soon as they get the money, they get to keep 70% of it for operating costs and logistics associated with, they don't even give, so what I'll give you, I'll do 3 minutes. I'm trying to keep my videos around 13 minutes because people's attention spans probably don't even go past 3. But what these NGOs do is so like Fire Aid, we'll give you the Fire Aid quick breakdown. Fire Aid was this large concert that was lots of large artists took part in, you know, raise money for both Altadena and the Pacific Palisades, which were destroyed, burned to the ground. And it raised $100 million. And so that $100 million was then handed off to the Annenberg Foundation. The Annenbergs are local billionaires, and they take 70% of the donations right off the bat as operation costs. And so there goes 70 million. And then the remaining 30 million they give to other NGOs so they can hand it out to people. But every time you hand it off to an NGO, that NGO gets their cut for operating costs. So by the time if it makes it to fire victims, it's been whittled down to nearly nothing. But I'm at 13 minutes. Stop falling for all this shit. It's pretty wild. The news is fucked. Try and stay positive though. You know what I do to stay positive? I stay in the present. I pray. I pray every day. I'm not super religious, but I do pray to God and my higher power, which is Jesus Christ. Maybe I'm going to get banned for saying that too. Just kidding. But yeah, dude, I'm not perfect. I'm a human. I am fallible. I have character defects. But I made my 4th video and I've been staying consistent on these things. So like and subscribe. I'm going to wrap it up there. Maybe tell me some suggestions what you want to see me do. I'm going to start maybe editing these videos to cut out the ums and the uhs and the likes and maybe the dudes. I don't know. All the fun linguistic quirks that might turn you off to watching this channel. But I hope you guys have a happy Saturday and a good weekend. Stay positive. Check in with your friends and family. And peace out, Seacrest.